Westuhan min freon and welcome to another video, and finally some good news, my dear friends. And is it a coincidence that just yesterday, at the time of recording this video, it was the 40th anniversary of one of the best fantasy films in the world, and that is Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, you can say whatever you like, and that it was really a very loose adaptation, and that it had very, very little to do with the original stories by Robert E. Howard. But come on, it was the 80s. It was just about the fact that Arnold was so awesome. And it was a really very, very, very good film. But this news really brings a smile to my face. Let us dive into the article. Report: Marvel Comics could be losing the rights to a major character. Marvel Comics has reportedly lost the rights to Conan the Barbarian, which, if true, means they lose a key character before a brand new series. Marvel Comics is reportedly moving on from the license of Conan the Barbarian, which may lead to major changes in some comics the hero was said to appear in. The report from Rick Johnson of BleedingCool.com suggests that the American rights of Conan have lapsed, as Marvel Comics no longer owns the US rights to the American character. If true, what that means in the future for the character's upcoming Marvel appearances remains to be seen. Conan the Barbarian is one of the most iconic sword and sorcery characters by legendary writer Robert E. Howard. The Cimmerian hero originally appeared in a 1932 story from Howard in Weird Tales, with many subsequent stories written about him. The sword and shield-wielding Cimmerian first appeared in comics in the 1970s, with Dark Horse being the publisher from 2003 until a few years ago, until Marvel Comics regained the rights in 2018. Famously, Arnold Schwarzenegger portrayed the hero in the character's self-titled 1982 film. Conan, who starred in multiple solo books continuing his savage adventures, is set to rejoin the Savage Avengers in a new series later this week. However, Marvel Comics might have lost the rights just before his newest comics debut. Rick Johnson of BleedingCool.com reported that the US license to Conan the Barbarian moving from Marvel. Johnson noted that a commenter in a fan group referenced an Esad Ribic cover for Conan Exodus being the last piece of art the artist would do on the character for Marvel, as the publisher no longer owns the rights. Bleeding Cool did some digging that the current owners of the US trademark, or if it's sold, plan on publishing Conan comic books themselves. Oh, good. The report also notes it won't impact upcoming collections and reprints. Marvel Comics hasn't officially confirmed losing the license rights to the character, but if true, it's likely to have an impact on future Conan the Barbarian starring titles. The King Conan miniseries from Jason Aaron and Mahmoud Asrar, which was mired in controversy already, and I have made a couple of videos about that, please do check out my channel for that, is still set to release 2 issues later this year, while Conan is set to star in the Savage Avengers from David Propose and Carlos Magno. So will Marvel change the team, or will they go on the route of their non-US counterparts and start to refer to Conan as the Cimmerian, which is of course a possibility. Now, here in Europe, they are publishing a rather new Conan the Barbarian comic book miniseries or series, and they are of course collecting them into huge, beautiful, oversized albums. And it is indeed called Conan the Cimmerian, which of course means that they can publish it, and they are 1,000 times better than the woke Marvel Comics. Again, the right loss report hasn't been confirmed by Marvel, so it could be a tad premature, but it does appear legitimate from the sounds of it. Losing Conan the Barbarian ahead of his new series while the character has his own solo book with King Conan makes for an odd timing for his potential departure. Time will tell if Conan the Barbarian continues with Marvel Comics, but as of right now, you might not want to get your hopes up. I'm not getting my hopes up for more Conan by Marvel. I will be continuing rereading the original tales by Robert E. Howard, which are of course the canon, which are, of course, the best versions, because they are, of course, the original and the only right and correct version. However, if you want to enjoy yourself some Conan the Barbarian in other media, I do suggest you try out the European Conan the Cimmerian comic books, because they are almost word-to-word adaptations of the original stories written by Robert E. Howard, beautifully, gorgeously, extraordinarily illustrated. And I don't know what about the American versions, but at least here in Europe, in my country, they come out in beautiful, oversized hardcovers, very pleasing to the eye, very interesting to read, very refreshing. And if you insist on reading something coming from America, from Marvel Comics, I do suggest the original Roy Thomas comic book, Conan the Barbarian, then The Savage Sword of Conan, from Marvel Comics from the 70s and the 80s, and then the initial issues of the Dark Horse Comics, Conan the Barbarian. But I'm very glad that Conan will probably be leaving the 2022 version of Marvel Comics, because Marvel Comics has only one trick nowadays, and that is make everybody gay. Well, nothing against anybody, but this trick has become old very quickly. And they, of course, are not writing or drawing good stories. They're just really focusing on inclusion, representation, and diversity, which, of course, isn't diversity anymore if you make everybody gay suddenly. So, yeah, I would much rather reread the good old Conan the Barbarian stories and read the new European stuff, rather than watch Conan the Barbarian suddenly wear an LGBTQ plus flag instead of his loincloth. That wouldn't be Conan the Barbarian in my eyes. Alright, let me know in the comments down below what you think, and that will be all. Thank you very much for watching, and namaste.